Hello and welcome to TFT EMEA Regional Finals. Final day, game number 6. Enjoy.
Points. Dark is just behind on 29, and we go down to Volta on 26, Wet Jungle on 24, then a fairly big drop off to Lalana on 19, along with Org, Travis on 17, and Yoroi on 15.
We're in Ecliptic Walls. Lalana is cooking, has the board here. Very much the same thing as the Ezreal. Through those caretakers chosen favor or whatever else they're called, you are going to get more items, you're going to get more components, you are going to get a little bit more gold coming through as well, and you have those higher potentials towards the back end of the game as well.
This is where we were talking all the way back in day one. We were saying, when do players change their game plan, their legend choices? Well, game 6 of day 3, when everything is on the line, that's when Lalana chose to change into Poro and then into the Bard as well. Cho'Gath pair, Cassiopeia pair, maybe some Reptile Romance to start things off in stage 2.
Yeah, also, this is kind of where Lalana kind of failed at the start of the day, right? Was unable to find anything for that Cho'Gath in the front line here. Was stuck re-rolling for so long as well. And now you just got to keep in mind that it's going to be an absolutely amazing thing as well if he's going to be able to completely fully work out here. Has the Redemption online as well as Sword for potential Giants there on the Cassio. If it is this route, you want to go down. 2-star Cho'Gath arrives alongside that Renekton as well. This is one of the best openers for this composition, and Lalana is an expert at navigating it.
It may be a very good opener, but remember, Lalana has to make up an enormous amount of ground in this round. 5 points behind Wet Jungler, who's currently in 4th place. But it's all to play for Lalana. She said, it's such a different looking tomorrow to wake up and know that you're going to be a player going to the Global Championship or one who just fell oh so slightly short.
Oh, good start here as well, right? Gets another Chain Vest into the mix. So a lot of different things that we got to keep in mind that we got to be working for. But the first round of augments will be coming through. We are going to be on gold here, and even has the option for an Ancient Archives. He wants that. The boss also an opening here. Frequent Flyer as well. A lot of options here. He is going to be going with the Caretakers. That's why he made this decision. Why he swapped to the Bard Legend.
With Jungler going level 4, we'll see for players that have to take big risks in this game, like Og, for example, who is now on Earth. And we'll see what he can do, what he can cook up in this final game. Shurima worked out last game. Multicaster's currently on the board for now. I think a few players might be contesting Zyko in this final game.
Taking a quick look at the augments we got in the lobby at the moment from Yoroi. Got the Death Blade coming in as well. As you noticed, we've got the silver ticket in play. A couple of Pandora's items and a couple of Tomes of Traits.
It's worth noting here as well, Volta already with the Azir item slam. Shurima Emblem fan from the Ancient Archives. He is back in his comfort zone.
We certainly saw what he was capable of in the previous game. Again, 26 points for Volta. Yeah, for our players in the top 4, we're talking about the different circumstances here. They just need to have a good game, and they're pretty much guaranteed to be part of our 4 heading to championship. All they need to do is avoid a disaster.
We haven't seen Volta play the vertical Shurima line today. He's played Demacia. We saw him playing Challenger the last game. Didn't quite work out like it did in Game 6 and Day 2, but still had a good result. And in this case now, as you mentioned, Counterfeit, different goals for different players.
Yeah, and Cassiopeia 2 coming through from Volterix. This unit is so powerful at this stage of the game. Such a great holder of every single AP item in the game.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money in the bank as well to help this board grow stronger and better as time goes on. Do you believe we might also have Travis moving in a similar direction as well? I've spotted he's got a few Shurima units. I think it's perhaps drawing a little bit more attention than it had been previously.
And Og, hoping to reroll a tiny bit, might be loose streaking part of this stage 2. We've seen him going into this line of, playing from a loose streak in stages 2 and 3. It has not worked out in most games today, the Game 5 being the exception with the 9 Shurima board. But I think that's a whole different host of factors that were involved in that.
Yeah, and only two Pandoras, about to say only 2 Fioras or something like that. I mean, maybe
2 Fioras at this point in the game would be a pretty good thing.
I mean, we've seen wilder things, right? We saw Cho'Gath 3 at this point in the game yesterday, okay? So we've seen some pretty crazy stuff already, but...
You're right, Wheater. Nothing is off the cards in this, our last game of the day. Again, if you're just joining us somehow, some way, we are at the end of a 3-day competition to find our top 4 to go forward to the Global Championship and our 1 EMEA Regional Champion who'll be walking away with 25,000 euros from this event. Right now, we've got a pretty good idea of who our top 4 is, but it's not guaranteed.
And Volta cannot quite make 30 here. Going to shift around his board. Wet Jungler, a player we talked about holding the fort in that current fourth place position. He's the player that needs to outplace players like Lalana, for example. And we'll see if he can do it. For now, an early upgraded Swain. We saw him playing Vertical Noxus before in Game 3. It worked out for him. He's been playing kind of between that Nyla and the Mordekaiser the entire day. So in this case, in his comfort zone.
Yeah, well, I mean, Wet Jungler needs to really be going out in the bottom four, that minimum for Lalana to stand a chance here. But we can see the current setup is pretty good for the German player, able to at least make sure that, well, I was going to say his losses were softened. In fact, he's going to end up breaking that streak and going on a different one of his own.
Yeah, looking at the stage 2 carousel, not going to be as decisive as it was, as we have seen it in previous games here, but the players will be looking for a few options here. No spatulas. Actually, there is one on a TF though, so high priority unit, but not high priority item on that unit.
Bit of a poison challenge for any multicaster players. Like, I want the unit, but the spatula, Pandora's item, can you do some magic here? Can you reroll this as well? I don't want the spatula. And we can see what Jungler thinking about it. He wants to go for that Vertical Noxus. I think it suits him perfectly. And he gets to deny the TF from any multicaster players, so double dipping.
Yeah, Wet Jungler's got a pretty decent Noxus setup with that all in hand. Lalana, though, at the top of the lobby right now. Again, a player who is relying on a lot of stars to align to make it into the top 4, but being strong from the beginning of the game certainly is not to be sniffed at.
And Dark Hydra, a player that, according to the stats from what I've been seeing in day 1 and 2, played 4 games out of 12 with the Ionia line. Ionia spatula for him. So again, for a game as important as this one, for someone who only needs some consistent results, maybe a good result if he wants to win it all, this is a perfect line for him to play.
Yeah, it's worth noting here as well, like he has best in slot already. Ionia, I'm looking to go on to the likes of an Ashe. We've seen that before on the Neela as well. But the Gunblade and the Last Whisper, 2 of the best items for this competition overall. Just 2 best in slot items for the Sire already on the lockdown. Super important for his position.
Up against Travis in this round. As we do spot, yes, a Fiora coming through the shop. Not 2 of them, but we're half the way there at least. Travis rocking out a relatively similar setup. We do see a lot of Samira being used as an item carrier, in this case successfully for Travis.
And, you know, a bit of a sad state of affairs that a unit like Fiora, with the recent nerfs, not appealing enough to buy in the shop at this point in stage 2. Considering that, again, for the econ, maybe it's not worth it, considering it is 4 gold for a single unit.
As we know here, Lalana's streak has not been broken this time around, but he's also 0 gold right now. Something that we've got to keep in mind as well here. He's not going down that Cho'Gath reroll route, but he was here going down a more traditional, just pure tempo bruiser line. Let's see where it ends up.
So Zyko will be potentially Lalana's opponent in this round. We can see the backline itemization is crisp as anything. Of course, you pointed out in previous games, David, that the Void doing a pretty good job of providing a shell for these multicasters setups to get through the early game.
One thing I will say, Zyko has proven, today especially, how good he is at win streaking with any board into multicasters, yes, but he's been win streaking and able to get very healthy leads into that multicaster board at pretty much every single game I've seen him playing today. So actually it's very impressive and very hard thing to do with this level of play in these lobbies.
But also look at his items, David, right? Like, yes, he's Pandora's items, but there's not been a lot of payoff in terms of any of that pressure he's been able to give up. But he is going to be able to lose a streak here. Travis Watt, again, just coming through here with a strong tempo line. Lalana keeps his. The only full streaker in the lobby, if you disregard Orc at the bottom at 68 HP.
Yes, that's a fairly impressive streak of its own, but you're right. We've got the gold very much concentrated, or at least the gold income concentrated towards top and bottom. Dark Hydra did manage to build up a decent amount of gold in pocket as well, 50, even without a streak to his name. As you noted, Lalana spending aggressively to make sure he stays on top.
And Lalana considered by many of the best players in EMEA, one of the historically best early game players of all time. Hayden going to championships last set. Lalana was the one that was teaching him how to navigate the early game to perfection. So it's not surprising to see this player 5 win streaking and trying his best to stay healthy and snowball this lead into stages 3 and 4.
I can personally test someone that's been on calls with Lalana before in the past, where you just like watch this guy in call and ask questions for like 2 hours, and then all of a sudden you're full streak every single game for the rest of the week. He has such a good understanding of. We spoke about it earlier on today. The guy sits down in the practice tool to practice these openers, so he's not dealt a hand he hasn't seen before.
Yeah, that's the kind of dedication it takes. But again, Lalana's fate is not in his hands. He's more or less directly playing against Wet Jungler in this game, because Wet Jungler needs to finish in the bottom 4. 5 points of difference must exist to even go for a tiebreaker.
Yoroi on Poro for this game 6. Rolls it down to try and find the Rek'Sai upgrade. He does on his very last roll. great items, and the cut above here can help him recover his econ as we move through this stage 3.
But David, you're an expert on this line, right?
Well, I was an expert.
You had a very famous tweet at the start of the set, okay?
I did. I'm not going to go into my accolades, spamming Rek'Sai and Quinn reroll at the very start of 9.5. I think it was very strong to start things off. A lot of buffs could come through, especially onto Rek'Sai, so she does not get stuck on units as often as she used to. We've seen it in day 1, for example, those battles against those multicaster boards, and she can do crazy things, but again, her biggest problem, getting stuck on these massive tanks and just not doing anything for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, no, absolutely as well. But the fact with the ice here as well, you don't have to go for something like the...
Uh-oh.
I like the time to solve here, but...
Quick pivot.
Dedication is actually not too bad here, right? It does give you a ton of options. Combat cast as well, also a very interesting one. But as we talk about here, getting those bruiser was online, getting that vertical bruiser into the mix, being able to slot in all those slayers alongside it.
Oh, Cole Sasa, the Ravenous Hunter, has arrived in the final game of the tournament. You gotta do it. No.
That was maybe a few patches ago.
Come on.
You know,
Super Sasa.
6 or 7 patches ago, counterfeit in this case now, with a lot on the line, of course, for Travis. I don't think he wants to take those risks, but I would love it. We can start wooing like we were used to. You know, this is, I think, where we're most comfortable, with Golden Eggs and with Ravenous Hunter.
Ravenous Hunter is unnerved in my heart.
I want to highlight a trend here, right? The only person not on a combat augment here is Roy. Everyone else on a combat augment or an augment that gives him some combat power like the Magic Wand.
Dark Hydra finds some Vanquisher synergy to go along with Ionia synergy as well. We talked about a line he's so comfortable on, but 66 HP. He has to find a way to stabilize. Of course, we'll probably be seeing with this amount of gold a maybe 3-5 level 7 roll down. Might wait till 4-1 depending on how the outcome of these fights go.
Yeah, looking pretty decent so far, as you said, with a lot of money left in pocket. Of course, from Wet Jungler side of things, again, a hugely important player as to where he finishes. Has got the Noxus board extremely strongly already. Certainly doesn't seem like he's on any kind of path for an early exit.
But also, David, he has 7 Swains already, right? He's very focused on getting the Swain free online, then starting to push the vertical with that total domination here. So a play that we really need to keep an eye out for here, because if he's just like in that top 4 vicinity, he's pretty much guaranteed in top 4 overall in the standings as well.
Vel'Koz 2 for Og. Have to watch out. Oh, well, this is Zyko. Thought it was Og, but no, of course. It's Zyko with Vel'Koz also on his board. In this case...
one of the worst spots we've seen him in all tournament on this line.
That's exactly true. 1 stars all across his board. No gold to work with. We'll see. Zyko, current point leader. If he falters here, if he falls to a 5th or a 6th, and Dark Hydra in his comfortable Ionia line can manage to cap out his board, he might be able to reach that EMEA championship title.
And here got this as well. We have a mirror matchup with the multicasters here, Peter.
Yeah, and we can see the items being thrown in immediately by Org. There's not a lot of money left in the bank, but if you can get the wins, that can change in a hurry. You see the Vel'Koz on the other side for Zyko is, of course, more impressive, but the board overall belongs to Org, and this is what we required if we're going to see an upset at the top. The contestation is in full swing.
I love the thematic implications of Zyko's augment choice here. Know your enemy, facing multicasters. There has never been, I think, a more accurate representation. And Lalana on, what was that, 5% of Cassiopeia's HP, barely able to defend his streak. The early game player now becomes a mid-game master, hoping to snowball this lead into stage 4.
Well, look at his items, though. He's down double Rage Blade here, not commonly used items. He has to think outside of the box. He's playing to maintain that win streak, and then trying to figure out where he takes it afterwards.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Currently rocking out a lot of Void units to try and hold on. Looking down towards the bottom, we can see Org on low HP. Dark Hydra, though, on the lowest.
Dark Hydra has to find a way to stabilize. Will that be a level 7 right now? I think that might be the case. He feels he's under a lot of pressure. Ash 2, this is part of the reason why he's so low HP. Has gone level 7, is rolling down, finds a Taric. Does he make it? He knows he needs the gold, but he also needs the stability. I think you have to. Nyla is huge. Can he find a Xayah on this roll down? When does he stop? Is it now? Sells the Warwick, still makes 30? Is this enough, Wida?
The thing is here, like, I'm looking at right now, we're playing for Ionia, we're just playing an Aurelia 2 kind of for fun here. We could have played a different unit, I suppose, right? Gotta ensure that our Ionia buffs doesn't go to the wrong...
It's Aurelia 2. Don't disrespect this lady. He does some tanking.
This is my comp, David. I play this comp a lot. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that depending on which side you want to go down here, because with the Stolen Vitality, you're much more inclined to go towards the vertical Vanquish line than the vertical Ionia line.
Interesting pickup here for Volta in the opposite corner from Dark Hydra. The parting gifts coming to provide a little bit more tankiness and spreading the love of the Dragon's Claw around the field. Won't be enough to make a difference here, because as you say, Dark Hydra breaks that streak, moving forward with strides.
And now I think it's worth noting here, his board is actually relatively stable as well, so he can just play on this Ashe 2 until Nyla 2 arrives, then transition those items over to the Neela and the Saya.
It's one of the most important skills in TFT, especially in a spot like Dark Hydra where he doesn't want to just top 4. He wants to try and win, tries to maybe place 3rd or 2nd. Knowing when to stop rolling, knowing when to say, hey, I'm last in HP, everything is on the line in this game 6, but I know because I can scout every board and I've played so many games with TFT this set to stop right the moment he hits that Taric 2 with a Protector's Vow. He has Stolen Vitality, he has the Ashe upgraded.
And I think it's also one of the reasons why the comp did not look very good on stats yesterday, right? Because players that were not familiar with the line on this patch post the nerfs coming through were not really sure when they were stable and thus tanking a little bit too much.
We've certainly got a lot of tanking going on. We've got our bottom 4 players on 50 to 43 HP. Lalana has been putting down a lot of pressure on everybody else. We've got the Sniper's Focus setup from Travis we saw a little while back. The itemization is looking very good, but I don't think it's quite good enough to deny Wet Jungler.
This is a very good spot for Wet Jungler. The only thing he's missing really is the items for Mordekaiser in a big way. So I think a lot of the success and the cap for this comp might come through this Wolves PvE round and what components he finds. But the stability with the Swain 3, if he finds it, his current gold total, his spot in terms of economy, I think is fantastic. And we see he is rolling on 6 here, trying not to go 7 for Mordekaiser. So maybe centering more around the Noxus reroll line to some extent with the Swain and then going for the vertical 7.
And it's worth noting as well, just a singular belt here is provides with the Noxus, but that belt will also be used for the Mordekaiser, for that Nashus too.
Yeah.
Most likely. He does have the Pandora's Magic kind of help him out. And this is the line that Wet Jungler has been playing all weekend long.
Yeah, to great success. Take a moment to just check out our economy and streaks here. We can see there's a lot of gold still floating around with the exception of Psycho, who has got nearly nothing there. There's a 3-star Swain. Of course, easy peasy. Do want to point out, though, we have got a player pushing up the table at speed. That's Org on 56 HP at the moment, contesting multicasters.
Hold up. Wet Jungler got the Swain 3. He got the belt for Noxus Emblem. He got a QSS dropped as well for the Mordekaiser. So that PvE round definitely went his way. Og picks up the Sona upgrade, picks up the Galio upgrade, finds some stability. And Dark Hydra lost the last round of Stage 3, rolled down heavily, found a Xayah pair, but is not looking too stable just yet.
No, has even made the counter 2 on the bench here. He's going to be going into the 6
TF3 for Og.
Let's see how Zyko does here. Again, the contested multicast is a lot less strong than they should be otherwise. And now they have to face down Ari on the other side. They take the loss here. Zyko moving down closer, dropping into the bottom 4.
Dark Hydra might be in trouble. He's looking for some kind of upgrade. He's 32 HP. Volta has dropped now to 31. And a barely wins there for Travis. Travis, a player we've seen also in the bottom of the standings for so long today. Martyr finds some combat strength upgrades here as well. I think might drop. Oh, Ionian Crest, but it's for Travis, not for Dark Hydra, unfortunately.
Yeah, it will be gold across the board here, so our players will keep more or less on with their plans so far. Again, taking stock, we have got Volta, who is one of our players in the top 4, very close to being the first one out, along with Dark Hydra, both in the 30s.
Yeah, Roy is cooking still on the Rex side. He has 2 Ixtal, 6 Bruiser. This is not a combination we've seen all weekend long. He has a Kiana with a Bruiser on the right side of the Rex side. Very interesting setup here from Yoroi.
Definitely, that's why we've seen some of these lines also kind of come up in China, right? The Rek'Sai reroll won a lobby there in their regionals recently as well. So something you gotta pay attention to here as we are going to be looking into what will be going on here. You have Roy having the ability to play spoiler for a lot of the people that still have their dreams of that championship right in their side.
Yeah, I love seeing the rejuvenating flame in there. The combination with the bruiser is extremely strong. It's a massive amount of regeneration. The board completely built around the Rek'Sai. Of course, there's a few other friends to buy time for her to get her job done against Lalana, who is still in first place, but not on a win streak right now with bruisers of his own.
Yeah, we're playing Gunner Brawlers, you know, like this is a throwback comp and a half here coming through. And again, it makes perfect sense with where he was going at the start of this game with these items. Not the most common line, but if you know this line, you can play for it in the best way possible. This fellas can end up dishing out a lot of damage. As we have seen, these flex bruiser front lines have been one of the key ideas coming out this weekend.
And what I know is this unit is not contested. So hey, if I need a chance to get into the top 4, I want to play a consistent line. I don't want to low roll and have someone to blame, maybe myself as well for the choice in the line I've taken. But we're looking at the bottom half of the standings. Volta, who's in the top 4, currently bottom 4 in this game. Dark Hydra, similar story. Zyko, similar story. It's only Wet Jungler, who's 4th in the standings, who's still in that top 4 now.
And we've had some scenarios being run from us from Makes from backstage. A lot of this is based entirely on where Wet Jungler finishes. If he gets into 6th place, Lana has the opportunity. If he goes 7th, it opens up the board even more. If he goes 8th, of course, that gets the most possibility of an upset into the top 4. There's so many eyes on Wet Jungler and how he's playing this game.
But look where Travis is right now, man.
Uh-oh.
He has found his way to this needle line through the likes of that sniper's focus. And you're pointing out here, Volta only on 26 points here. Will be put to 27 if he goes out in 8th.
And of
There's
course,
no guarantees in the world.
well, of course, this impacts where Wet Jungler could even conceivably finish. If we see a player going on 8th and 7th place early on, it forces Wet Jungler up to a higher finish.
But keep in mind here, with Volta at 27 points, obviously he has a lot of points. He was the overall top pointer, so he's going to win that tiebreaker most of the time here. But if there's a world where 28 points come into the mix here, Volta might miss out on the championship.
Aatrox on the carousel. Travis does end up picking it up. We'll have to go to Dark Hydra's board as well to see what his board looks like now after a full or half of stage 4 has passed. He's had some chance to roll down a little bit more of his gold. Did he find his Zaya 2? Did he find the upgrades he needed to find stability? He is still on 32 HP, so he's won the last few fights. But this is a player that needs to find stability in this point in stage 4. A player who's okay, who's what jungler? We're talking about him going 7th or 8th. I don't know about that. He's on a Swain 3. He's on an itemized Noxus Rise as well.
But the issue here as well, this is going to be a holdover point for the most part, right? Because the issue with the Noxus Rise is that you have to hold on to all that gold to get all the damage. And even sometimes it is not going to be the biggest thing here as well. Because you just have 20 gold right now. And when you're not hit, you're still pushing levels, you're still pushing to level 8. The second you find a better hold of this, it's gone.
Certainly with the Archangels in pocket, that is a tremendous source of damage if Wet Jungler can play the long game. Certainly in 2nd place right now, as we said. It does not look hopeful for anybody else to bust into the top 4 while Wet Jungler is doing so well. We see a little taste of exactly what this Rise is capable of, and this is not even with a massive quantity of money in the bank.
There's a pretty interesting interaction, right, David, with the total domination, with just the amount of different targets the Rise spreads to.
The extra executes coming through. Very similar, I think, argument regarding Shimmering Inventors and Dark Hydra's game. Very similar thing applies here for this Rise in the concept of holding your gold, because that gold creates board strength, and that balance between spending the gold or holding it and deciding how that ends up affecting your board. We're looking out for Volta, 6 HP. He was in the top 4 coming into this final game, but with an 8th place here, it would be very hard to see him going to the championship to find himself in that top 4 once this game concludes.
Well, Volta may be on the brink of annihilation here. I would want to kind of raise for you guys the parting gifts, something I'm less familiar with in this kind of line. What's Volta trying for?
Again, trying to find some commerce. I think he probably low-rolled his 3-2 augments, but the biggest problem is the fact that he's on Nasus 1 and he's on Azir 1. And who are the item carriers in this comp? Nasus and Azir at this current moment. So he just could not find his upgrades on his roll down on level 7. He low-rolled entirely and he's paying the price.
And looking at the side here of Lana as well, right? He has already gotten that one force of nature coming through from the likes of the return on investment here. Another open spat in the mix as well.
Azir can't do it. Azir taken down. And Volta taken down in the process. Unfortunate for a player who finished day 2 with 69 points, leading the pack, has been dominant, has played so many different lines throughout the weekend as well. But in game 6, when it matters most, he finishes 8th.
So that puts him on 27 points overall. Of course, we'll keep you guys updated as the data comes in. But oh boy. So that means, again, I think we can pretty much take the Wet Jungler going off in the bottom of the lobby off the table entirely. For the Lana, he's maybe roosting the top of this particular lobby, but the rest of his day seemed like it just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, Roy has been cooking. The stew has been simmering all of stage 3, all of stage 4. Maybe a little bit overcooked right now, is nowhere close to the Rek'Sai upgrade he might be looking for. Has a lot of gold to work with though. Sitting at 25 HP, this might be the green light to start spending this gold and finding some amount of upgrades for this board.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, there we go. There we go. Sejuani 2.
It's also going to be an issue for the likes of Lana, right, who is on that... Right now on that Bruiser line, would like to see that Sejuani 2, but we're also seeing objects come through Aphelios 2, Sona 3 on the side of Orc here. So many massive hits on this 5-1.
2 more Rek'Sais. Finds a Scion as well. Has to slot that in over the Vi. Finds the Vi upgrade. Can be the Cho'Gath instead. Has a Scion on the board already. Yeah. Only 1 away from the Scion upgrade. Only 1 away from the Rek'Sai upgrade, which I think is more important with this Ice Hex on the Rek'Sai as well.
There's so much extra guaranteed here. The Rek'Sai will get the job done. Rejuvenating Flame, we talked about it before, and the Ice for the extra security, healing up on max HP. But Lalana has got potentially unlimited DPS. The Rek'Sai keeps on healing, but everyone's dying around her, and she's got no more support left.
It's a big loss. Yoroi down to 7.
But Psycho down to 22. Dark Hydra stabilized at 32 HP with that 6 Ionia being found. He's still win streaking. No one has been able to pin him down, as we've been talking about now. Orc is the stronger of the two multi-caster players.
You can't find the Rek'Sai. Zyko, he's top forward every single game except for one, playing this multicaster line. He won the last game in spectacular fashion with the craziest combination of portals and augments. But in this case, he's suffering, down to 22 HP. We talked about it. Stage 3, he was in a very bad spot.
Yoroi has found a 3-star upgrade on the Rek'Sai. This board unusual in the extreme, going up against the board that is the most commonly seen.
Rek'Sai can maybe sneak into the backline. She takes a walk around Sejuani. Can she go straight into the multicasters? The Swain is down. The Rek'Sai is onto the backline. The Furious Bite comes through. The Scion's helping as well. Not one punch man, many punch man. And Rek'Sai takes Zyko down to 8. Yoroi on 7. So close for both of these French players.
But Dark Hydra also takes a loss, and he needs at least to outplay Psycho by 2 spots to be tying him on points. And then the tiebreakers are going to come in instead, right? So many things still up in the air.
And so many of our highest scoring players struggling in this lobby. Of course, this is our 6th game of the day. These players have been playing only against each other. They could not have an opportunity to get a better read on each other's strategies.
And despite Lalana and Og pulling off an heroic comeback in this final game, Wet Jungler's right next to them, which is not where they want him to be. He's currently 3rd in the standings. We'll see how this fight ends up panning out. Zyko fighting for his multicaster life. He's up against Wet Jungler. There's a Swain 3. There's a Rise who's pumping out so much damage on this Zaun portal. Look at the multicasters go. They've disappeared. It's just Vel'Koz, but this time Vel'Koz can't do it. Zyko taken down in 7th.
All eyes on Yoroi here. He's playing against Orcs multi-caster board, and that is going to be Yoroi going out here as well. Massive round for Dark Hydra. 1 or 2 more placement. He is going to be our EMEA champion.
We started the day with the French dominance. 1, 2, 3 for game 1. 1, 2, 3 for game 2. But in game 6, when it matters most, France ends up 6th, 7th, and 8th.
That is absolutely astonishing. It's been a wild ride. We are getting confirmation with all of that and playing with all of the other contenders moved out of the way. Dark Hydra steps forward into the spotlight. He is now confirmed as our EMEA champion. The rest of this lobby is for everybody else.
And he does it on the line he's played most often throughout the weekend. A player, Wida, who I think you know very well, so dominant in sets 1, set 2, set 3, took a break, came back in set 8. People were asking, is this guy really going to come back to his peak form? I think he surpassed it.
This is a player that's been at the top level in multiple of the biggest games on the planet before, right? He's such a big strategy gamer overall across RTS's other auto battlers. This guy has done it all, and now he's here. EMEA champion, came back in set 8 after a long break, has come in part of the Dark team that won the EMEA Super Bowl this set, and now also EMEA champion. We've been talking about the Hydra. We've been hailing him for a long time. Finally, he's showcasing his ability to the entirety of the masses.
Yeah, he was absolutely transcendent in the Super Bowl. Little do we know then, it was merely a sign of things to come. Dark Hydra, of course, at this point, you can see just how calm he is, knowing that he has achieved what so few people in history of the competitive TFT in EMEA have ever managed to do, bringing the EMEA Championship back to Germany.
I was going to say 2 HP in a dream, but the dream has already been accomplished, at least for now. One more step to go, of course. Championship in EMEA, maybe championship in the world. Can we finally start dreaming ourselves as well?
I mean, right now he has 25,000 dreams at least achieved to a certain extent, right? Counting up that. But right now, well, I want to highlight something here. The battle for the final spot in the top 4. Lalana and Wet Jungler currently in that mix as well here. That's something we got to keep an eye out for. As Dark Hydra queues into Orcs, absolutely kept out forward here on the multicaster side. Again, another player that also is trying to make their way into the top 4.
I think the first time that someone contests Zyko on multicasters and the contester comes out ahead, Og manages what Yoroi could not do in that game 2. A huge win, Dark Hydra finally taken down, but I think he knows he's already done enough in this tournament. In this day 3, Travis is also streaking, finally, some good fortune coming down the Polish player's side.
Oh boy, Wet Jungler holding on, of course, as well. Last German player actually live in this lobby, as much as Dark Hydra is going to retire off to celebrate his EMEA championship win. We'll see if the other German player can push himself any higher.
And what an understanding of the different lines in this set of TFT 2. When everything is on the line, itemize, Zon Rise, and rely on this magical man as your carry to try and, again, finalize that top 4, to finalize your ticket to championship and to Vegas.
And it's no longer death by 1,000 cuts, but each of these blades here are going to be doing a lot of damage as Mordekaiser 2 finally makes an appearance. Like we're talking about the fact was he going to go level 7 to roll down for that for a while ago, found his Swain free instead, found the Rise, and has just been chilling ever since then.
Yeah, Wet Jungler showed a tremendous amount of patience to get to this point with his bank balance intact. He's on a lost streak right now, but that's surely got to change as of this round.
And more so the understanding of the itemization. Not having Mordekaiser items, I would have thrown my hands up in the air and say, Mortdog, why do you make me low roll? But this man knows what his outs are and plays into the Rise instead. Can this board beat the multicasters? He beat Zyko's multicasters. That was a much weaker board. No 3-stars then. In this case for Og, the upgrades have come through. That's TF3. That's going to be a Sona 3 as well. The Rise is still alive. He's still kicking. The damage is coming through, but it can't do enough. Wet Jungler taken down to 14 HP. Travis still on 30. Og at 34.
Down to 1 HP, even Lalana also taking a loss, however, right? So it's going to be most likely to be Travis, Og as well. We got to see a direct battle between Lalana and Wet Jungler here in the mix as well. So transition coming through now. Rise no longer going to cut it. We've gone level 9, but we're kind of struggling to find a unit to put onto a board.
We'll be able to slap in a San just to try and finish off that particular dish. Og has a decent amount of HP and a burgeoning win streak, but we can see up against Travis in the next round. That's going to be a tough cookie to snap.
And Lalana, everyone's saying Aphelios is a fake unit. Don't click it. Don't play on your board. He's still first in the HP totals. He's fighting off against Wet Jungler. We'll see what this AP Mordekaiser can do. Very little attack speed. It's going to be a JG, an Archangels, and an Edge of Night. Can this Mordekaiser build do it as well? We'll find out. Aphelios slowly stacking the Rage Blade, trying to ramp up the damage with the Chakrams coming through. It looks like the Swain is still very alive, very healthy. And we're seeing the Mordekaiser, the God of Death, one by one, killing off every unit on the board. Lalana finally takes a hit.
That 9 knocks a spike as well is going to be ever so important. Right? Finding that side on the final row right before we saw it swap way to another board is one of the biggest things to keep in mind here as well. But if Alana's able to find this 2-star GP, everything could still change.
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly not got a lot of attack damage behind, but we'll check in with Travis and see what else is cooking here. So we've got the Nila, we've got the Xayah up and function, we've got the Shen as our main tank, and we've got a lot of money in the bank.
Maybe waiting for Dark Hydra to die to potentially find his own win condition. Could roll for a Nyla 3, could roll for a Xayah 3, has a lot of gold to work with, can buy this Nyla in the shop as well. He's waiting to do it until this fight ends so no one can scout him and see that might be his idea.
Wet Jungler has only 1 life to play with, but he's still got 24 tournament points overall. It's only in a very good spot as the Xayah will continue to peck away. The Swain goes down pretty low, but the damage isn't quite there. The stacking power of the Mordekaiser as again the God of Death comes through, and it looks like Wet Jungler isn't going to settle for 4th.
And that total domination here, putting in so much work as Alana takes another loss here, but that is a fawn. It's coming his way. He gets to add another unit to his board.
There it is, the perfect pickup for the British player. And Travis, we saw at the very last moment, bought that Nyla, so he's still very far away from Nyla 3, but he has a chance to roll down his gold. Instead of going 9, you might think it's a more efficient way to try and find power on his board by rolling on 8 and upgrading one of his 4 costs to 3-star. Oh, he's going 9 instead.
And I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Just try to match some of these other pickups here. Wet Jungler finding a Jarvan 2, right? He's been doing all this work with a Jarvan 1. We can see Travis now gonna match Alana, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons why, right? Because Alana able to add into another, he's essentially playing a level 10 board right now, so it might be all fine and dandy, but 17 damage is still very doable.
Last second changes coming in for Travis. We've got 4 players who are all in maximum danger mode. It's possible one of them could survive, but if we see these rounds get out of control, it'll all be over. Wet Jungler brings it to the forefront again. The 9 Noxian board upgraded, fully online, up against the multicasters of Org. He took this comp away from Zyko to show exactly what could be done with it. Morkaiser is chewing through the front line like it's nothing at all. Gets blown up though, the damage is still too much. Wet Jungler fought tooth and nail, but he still can't get higher than 4th.
Oh, but look at this as well here on the side of Travis. He's gonna fight ever so hard, but it looks like Lalana is able to do it here. Takes out Travis. 1v1 between Lalana and Orc. Both players on 19 points.
Travis decided to go 9, hoping to maybe find an RE2 star to swap the items off of that Ashe. Could not find it in the end, goes 3rd, at least finishes the tournament strong on this final Game 6. Lalana versus Og, both players fighting for that 4th place position in this top 4, but Wet Jungler as well. I think that might decide the placement from Wet Jungler for the German player.
Yeah, it's certainly been a hell of a day for German players, waiting so long to see themselves represented at the Global Championship. Let's go around again and see if Lalana's got what it takes to at least end out this lobby in 1st place.
Gonna be a hard thing to ask for considering he's facing off against this multicaster board. So many upgrades have come through. The GP Dreadways also coming through. Galio still left alive, tanking, stalling, trying to buy time for the burst to come through. One last TF ult would be fantastic. It does come in. Vel'Koz kills a few units as well, and the loss is big. Is it big enough? It is. It's 1 HP and a dream. Lalana fighting for his life.
But now what's the final upgrade here? Because on the side of Orc, he gets to upgrade his Heimerdinger turret even more, but there's none of that on the side of Lalana here, right? On a pair of GPs right now, a duplicator, another GP could be the decision maker, getting that extra CC and getting the CC immunity down to removing the impact of this Jarvan as well could be massive.
Lana and Org on the same points as each other. Even if they can't necessarily break into top 4, this is a meaningful end to this game.
And for Doch, coming back from set 8, Monsters Attack. Day 3 of EMEA Finals, Kevin Parker and Lusher not able to make it to Championship, not able to fight for those spots. Revenge has been found. Dark Hydra becomes EMEA champion. Wet Jungler finishes this game in the top 4. Such a great story with how we started the day, and GP2 is found. Is that going to be enough? Is this a big enough upgrade to change the outcome of what could be the last fight?
You can see Lalana, it's wearing upon him. He's almost sunk entirely out of camera frame because he's given everything he can. A fighter from all the way back from the Fates Championship, taking 4th there. He wants to at least put something extra on the resume. Org has got a lot of HP, a lot of good frontline. The Dreadway comes in at 2-star. It's going to be brought out even more frequently than before. Aphelios building up to a even bigger, greater heights. The Dreadway goes through again, the front line is gone. The deletion is coming and immediately the Aphelios is gone. And Org takes the final lobby of the EMEA Grand Finals.